It's always weird when I sit down and I know that I'm about to have a hard conversation because you don't really know how to get prepared for it. Sometimes I jot down what I want to talk about to make sure I hit every point, and then other times I just feel like talking. And it's weird because sometimes things affect me and sometimes they just like really don't. But the internet has been mainly supportive of the journey that I have been on, that being the surrogacy journey that we have been on. But there has also been some really loud voices. Some really loud voices that don't know the story, that don't know the circumstances. And some people do have some valid points. Absolutely. And I'm not here to say that you can't believe what you want. I respect everyone's beliefs, but a lot of the time it's just like a lack of education. And that's what's really hard. And I think the first thing to always remember is I am literally just like you. I somehow signed up for this wacky life of being kind of a public figure where people will always interject their feelings and their thoughts and their beliefs, and that's fine. But when people search me out so violently to make sure that I understand what they have to say, kind of blows my mind, because I was raised always thinking that anyone's opinion of you other than yourself really doesn't matter. Other than like, the people who are the closest to you, it doesn't matter. But I felt forced to make this video about this surrogacy journey that I am on because of those really loud voices. This journey has been great, but also the hardest thing that I have ever done. And I think it goes all the way back to the beginning. I didn't choose surrogacy for vanity, which some people do. Not many, but some people do. Actually, there probably are many. I don't know that. So I'm not going to speak on things that I don't know. But I didn't choose it out of vanity. And people get really quick on me, like, why are you breeding these women like cows? Which is horrible. And I have learned since does happen some places in the world. But I want to take you back nearly 12 years ago. I was a baby. I was literally a baby. I had no business having babies, but I was literally a baby. Adam and I got married extremely young, and I just wanted to be a mom. I wasn't like other kids. I didn't have dreams and aspirations to be an astronaut or the president. I just wanted to be a mom. I had a really great mom growing up, and my mom got sick when I was very young, and I had to learn how to be a little bit more grown up before a lot of my peers. And I don't know what about that made me want to be a mom, but I've always been the mom of the group, the nurturer, the one who just really wants everyone to be okay. I've just always felt like I was supposed to have this huge family. And I remember getting married. I wanted to get married because I loved Adam, but I didn't care in the way that we did things. It didn't matter, but I just like, if I was gonna have babies, I wanted to be married to this man that I loved, and that's the way I wanted to do it. There's a million ways to have a family, but I was a kid and I had blinders on, and that is what I wanted. The truth is, which is so strange, the first time we tried, I got pregnant. Like, the first time, okay? And which was weird because I've always had a gut intuition about things. And I was working in a factory at the time, and I don't know, there was a woman who was experiencing infertility, and I had said to her, I just feel like I'm going to deal with the same thing. Which, looking back, if someone said that to me and didn't know, I'd be like, shut up. You know what I mean? But again, I was very young. And I had a miscarriage a couple months in, and it was absolutely tragic, and I'll never forget the series of events that unfolded all around that situation, and I relive them a lot. Not as much as I used to, but I still do sometimes. Then I remember after that, we kind of took it as a sign maybe we should wait a little bit of time. So we waited a few months, but my heart was really broken and I just really wanted to have a family. So we tried and we tried and we tried for over a year. At this point, I'm convinced that the last miscarriage must had done something. And things started to get dark for me. And the other strange thing about the first pregnancy is it triggered an autoimmune disorder called Meniere's disease. So Meniere's disease is a disease of the inner ear. You can have it on each side, or you can have it bilaterally, which means you have it in both ears, and it is a vertigo kind of disorder. Guess who had it bilaterally? Me! 2015 was the hardest. So 2014, I had a miscarriage. 2015, my Meniere's disease was in full effect. I spent months off work in the bathroom, on the floor, feeling like I was flying around the room, living in a constant state of vertigo. If you've ever experienced it, that's the closest that I've ever been to not wanting to be here anymore. If you've even experienced a little bit of lightheadedness, imagine full vertigo for months without stopping. I disappeared from the world. Everyone started having their families, and I couldn't be around any of my friends because everything hurt so much when it came to it. I was so sick, and debt started piling up violently. And I want to make something very clear to you guys, because a lot of people speak on my privilege, and I feel so lucky that I am in a privileged place in my life compared to others now. But I also need you to know where I came from. By the time I was 24 years old, I was over $150,000 in debt. That's not including how much my house was a month. That was just bad mistakes and credit cards and trying to make ends meet. It wasn't long after that we started going to a fertility clinic, and it was expensive, but the government covered a lot of it. But I remember trying to save up money for certain things that weren't covered, and that was really hard. And we went to this clinic forever. And they said to us, you're so young. This is the way that it used to be. They're like, unless you can pay for IVF yourself, like, you go on this waiting list, but no one's going to look at you until you're like in your late 30s. And I was like, whoa. And then eventually they said, we're going to put you on the list. It's probably going to take 1 year. Call us in 6 months and we'll let you know where you are on the list for funded IVF. At 6 months, I called them and they told me I was never on the list. They didn't know who would have told me that. And then they moved me over to another clinic. This clinic was great. We went, we tried all this stuff. I ended up going under operations where I found out that I have a eucorneate uterus. So my uterus goes up and shaped kind of like a unicorn horn, like a banana. I have a non-communicating horn. Only one of my ovaries worked, and the one that did work wasn't the one that was connected. So the first time that I got pregnant, the egg from this somehow had made it all the way over to the other side, which apparently happens. Very interesting. I remember being in the hospital, and after that operation, to figure out if I had this or not, I had said to Adam, like, find if it is this way, like, find a funny way to tell me. And I just didn't want it. Like, I just wanted them to say, everything's normal, just keep trying. We'll try something else. And Adam went to the gift shop and bought a TY Beanie Baby unicorn keychain, as he's such a good soul. And he came in the room, and I was just waking up, and I'm like, happen? And he just pulls up this little unicorn keychain. He's like, yeah. And then I just started crying. It's hard as a woman to know that you're the reason it's not working. And the strange thing is when I met Adam, he told me he never wanted kids. And it would have been fine. And he always said to me, he's like, I don't care if we have kids. I just want you. Like, I just want you. So we ended up leaving the clinic because I just needed a break. Because at this point, years of my life, and that's why I have a hard time with my age now, is knowing that I spent so much of my life, or my whole entire every day, all day, was full of this. And I remember calculating it up and knowing I'd taken over 1,000 pregnancy tests. And I see these videos where people, post their pregnancy test reveals month after month of them not getting it, and they're all so sad. And then in the 4th month they get it and they're so happy, which I'm not not validating how you feel, but I did that for 10 years. It was just hard. So we stopped. Just let it be. And out of nowhere, got pregnant again. And a couple months later, everything ended again. Because of how my uterus is shaped, it's dangerous. And what the scariest part was, I joined this group for people who had my abnormality, and I had made a friend on there. And she got pregnant when I did the second time. I lost mine. She didn't. And her uterus ended up rupturing in her sleep, and she passed away, her and her baby. And that was really hard too. And in that moment, I was kind of like, wow, this is really dangerous. Some people with eucorneate uteruses go on to have so many kids. They never even know, or they don't know until they're carrying. And it's because we have different size uteruses, stuff like that. Uteri? No. A lot of people have been really angry about the surrogacy thing. They think it's my first option, the first thing I chose to do. We looked into adoption. We talked to someone who worked in the social work community because we had exotic pets. It was a no because we didn't have children. It was an even closer to be no. And we looked into adoption overseas, got hooked up with this amazing agency who then said both of our BMIs were too high. Can you imagine not being able to give a child a good home because you're too fat? And being told that you can't give a child a home because you're too fat and you're 175 pounds. So then somebody were like, oh, you could have just lost weight so you could adopt. I wasn't built that way. I was in such a hole at this point. Not only that, but when you look into adoption and all of this stuff, is they really go into your background, and we were really in debt. Like, and people are like, oh, well, you shouldn't have a baby if you're so in debt. Don't think we didn't think about that, but at the same time, everybody else does. But when you're a public figure, people scrutinize you violently. And it's crazy. And no, I'm not in debt like that anymore. But I also dug out of a hole so violently. After the second miscarriage, Adam got a brain injury, which a lot of you guys know about. And that is when the year of silence happened. Our house for an entire year was no lights, no sound. We couldn't really talk to each other. We were super in debt. And I was to the point where I was like opening the vacuum cleaner from vacuuming the car and going through the dirt, trying to find change so I could buy us bread. Like, it wasn't easy. And I had crazy vertigo, and we'd lost another baby, and he was so sick, and things were really hard. A little bit before that, I had started a candle company, started getting out of the hole a little bit, and then Adam got sick, and he couldn't really help anymore, and I closed it down and sold it off, and I didn't know if he was going to come back to me. But I just didn't see a family happening for us. I just didn't. And then TikTok happened. 2020 rolled around, and it had been like 2 years of silence and trying to get him better and not knowing what to do with our lives and just spiraling. And then the pandemic hit, and everybody was stuck inside. And I got on the internet, and I saw people making videos. And I was like, you know what? This is nice. I feel like I can find my people here. And I started making videos, and I started connecting with you guys. And then brands wanted to work with me. And slowly, and inch by inch, and penny by penny, I worked on getting us out of this hole. And then I started a business, and I started selling makeup, and I started selling merch, and I started making this content. And I worked from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. going live and shooting videos and posting on YouTube and doing everything because I was like, this I like. This is filling the hole, because in my own way, I had made my own family. Strangers from around the world made me feel ways that I hadn't felt in a really long time. And it was the strangers in my world that were rooting me on and believing in me. And when I told my story, were listening. And it was amazing. We got out of the hole we were in. I worked, again, from 6 a.m. till like midnight. Every single day for 3 years before I let myself breathe, and I let myself rest, and I let myself even think about having a family, because I knew I wasn't going to be able to do it on my own. I'm just trying to dot all my I's and cross all my T's here, because people are going to ask certain questions. So now you're not in debt. Why don't you adopt? Why don't you foster? Again, we had the exotic birds that I didn't want to give up. I promised them a life of good life. Why don't you foster? I had a best friend who I met on social media, and her aunt had a daughter that she was fostered to adopt when her mom came back in her life and they took her away. And I get that that's what happens, but I don't have the heart to handle that. And my thought has always been, maybe if I have one of my own, then I can handle it better. I don't know. That's just, I'm human, and that's how I feel. Okay. I got Googling, and I linked up with a surrogacy agency in Canada called CFC. I want to tell you about surrogacy in Canada, because the comment that I'm breeding someone like a farm animal is such a disturbing, horrible, gross feeling to me. CFC is a surrogate-led agency. These are amazing women who have put themselves out there because they want to help people have families. In Canada, you don't get paid to be a surrogate, and I feel like that needs to be in big red title. Like, you don't get paid to be a surrogate in Canada. And that's why a lot of people come to Canada for it. These are women who have had their own families, who want to do this. They want to make someone else's dream of having a family come together, which is beautiful. And they take your profile, and they take it to these women. And if someone wants to have a baby for you, then they're going to step forward. And that's how we met Jessie. They say, we have someone and we want you to meet her. And I met her, and we clicked. And she had done this many times before, and she loved giving people the gift of family. Like, we talk about it now. She can't wait for the moment that she hands me our son. But surrogacy is also really hard, because for me, it was admitting, I feel like defeat is the wrong word, but giving up control, knowing that my body isn't going to operate the way that it should. Going through IVF was weird. It was weird to give myself so many injections and have my ovaries swell up to this point that I looked like 8 months pregnant. I looked like I was about to have a baby. And then go in, and Dr. LeBrock, at, I forget it. If we remember, it's up here, is amazing. And he was so kind to me and put me out and took my eggs out and fertilized them. And then waiting for those calls to hear how those eggs did was crazy. And then all the testing getting done and going through all these lawyers, like, it's not this intimate thing. Like, it's crazy when people talk about making a baby and how beautiful and romantic it can be. And it's like, Adam went in a closet and I went into a different room and they mixed stuff together and we hoped for the best. And it was such a weird feeling. And I say it to this day, and I joke around a lot about it. And I say that I feel like Adam and I are both dads. Like, and this is how I keep humor about it, okay? Because I deal with things with humor. But it's like, we met this chick a couple times. We knocked her up. And I feel like when this baby comes out, we're going to high five, like a trio high five. Like, Adam and I are going to high five like dads. We're going to high five Jesse. And it's been great because things have gone well. There was a couple little scary moments at the beginning, but it's also been hard knowing that he's not in my body. And it's hard wondering if we won't connect. And I know there's so many hormones that are released at birth that would have helped me connect, and I'm not going to be able to breastfeed. Just all of these different things, they play a part. But at the end of the day, it feels like none of it matters because he's going to be here. And I keep seeing all these TikToks where it's like a moment that felt like Hosers yell. You're going to tear me for this. Hosers yell. You guys are going to get me for that. But I keep picturing him being born and just it still doesn't feel real, and we're 8 weeks away, which is crazy. But there's so many moments that don't feel real, and we love him so much. But I have these moments where I'm just like existing, and then I'm like, he's coming. But at the same time and in the same breath, people get very frustrated because I'm not posting a lot of content about it, and I'm not doing nursery tours, and I'm not doing all this stuff. And it's because I feel like I'm gonna jinx it if I talk about it. And every time I order anything for him, it feels like bad luck. And like, just always feels like something's gonna happen because something always has happened. Like, I'm sure new parents are gonna be able to tell me this, but do you not? Like, how do they stay alive? Like, how am I gonna walk away from his crib? Or and all these different things you just don't think of because we were so in it last year, getting all this all set. We were so just in it, and now that it's finally happening and we're setting up all these things, it's like it's crazy because it's been more than a decade. But yeah, people have really been at me about buying a surrogate. There's nothing paid for a lawyer. We do reimbursements. That's how it works. But you don't get paid a wage to be a surrogate here in Canada. And people really like to assume how much money I make. And it literally blows my mind. I support a lot of people. And I don't go on the internet and post all of the good things that I do for people, but I employ people. I help a lot of people. I help a lot of animals. Sorry, I'm literally thinking of a story of this dog. I'll tell you quick. I saw a post going around Facebook about this dog. I love dogs. I saw this post going around Facebook about this dog, and he was so skinny, and it's because he had an intestinal blockage, and they didn't have the money, and they were trying to do this GoFundMe to get money for this dog to help it, and it wasn't going anywhere, and I didn't want to give them money because I didn't know if it was a scam, so I had to go to their vet. I asked who the vet was, and I drove 2 hours to the vet, and I put down like $7,000 to save this dog, and he died in surgery. But we tried. My inbox is everywhere. Like, when you're an influencer, the truth is your inbox everywhere is full of people asking for help. So it's hard to choose people, but I keep everything local to me. And we pay rent for people. We help a lot of different single moms. We have bought cars for people for accessibility. We hire people who are having a hard time getting jobs. We do a lot, but I don't yell it from the rooftops. I'm not going to give you the list of things that we do. But I made sure and I made a promise because when we were going through a really hard time, someone helped us. Adam's parents helped us. And I promised that if I ever had enough, I would help other people because there's no worse feeling in the world than feeling stranded in a situation. And I don't want anyone to ever feel like that. And I can't help the whole world, but I can help some people, especially people that mean a lot to me. When I eat, they eat. I'm looking at my notes because I knew I was going to cry and I was going to miss stuff. Strangers not understanding. Yeah. So I'm going to real quick bullet point, go over how surrogacy and IVF went. Okay. This is my situation. There's traditional surrogacy. There's there's all this different stuff. But for me, it is my egg, Adam's sperm, put them together, genetically our baby. Jess is an amazing surrogate. She gets all prepped, lay down, egg in body. Hope it sticks. It's stuck. So genetically, our baby is in a different person. I've had a really hard time. A lot of times in public, people hear about me having a baby. They assume I'm pregnant. The amount of strangers that have tried to touch my stomach, I feel like maybe it would be different if I haven't had so many losses in my life, and not be fat. Maybe if I wasn't fat. But it's really hard when people who don't understand the situation, but I forgive them. They just don't know. You know what I mean? But it's kind of hard when someone's like, and you're like, no, this isn't it. The other thing that I want to touch on is that me doing the surrogacy journey is making it easier for people to do it in third world countries where they pay women and do breed them like cattle. I hate saying it that way. And that is tragic. And the truth is, I didn't know that was going on. I didn't know that was a thing. Sorry for my ignorance in the situation, but I didn't know that they did that in third world countries. I didn't know how it worked. I just knew how it worked in Canada. I didn't educate myself more on it. I'm sorry. Would I still do it again knowing that? I'm in Canada. So I don't feel like me doing this influences that as much. I'm sure it does in a way, because every action causes reaction. Everything is a ripple. And if anyone out there has gone and went to a third world country to do this, I apologize. I am so sorry if mine affected that, but I wasn't educated to start. I hate that happens. And the gross thing is that horrible things are happening around the world all the time, but I can't control that. I live in a bit of a bubble, but I put myself in a bubble because that's how I had to survive. I look back at the fact that I started this surrogacy journey and I can't believe how strong I was because of how many times I have given up on this journey. 2 years ago, I decided I'm just not doing this. I am just not meant to be a mother. I am not meant to be a mother. Maybe it will happen another way, but I'm never going to have children that are mine. It's just not going to happen. And then it happened. I'm staring at my dream board. I made this 2.5 years ago. I want to show you a picture on it. I keep it on my desk. Has a picture of my house, says paid off. Has a picture of me, says so creative, so confident, no anxiety. It has a picture of Adam and it just says healthy and happy. It has a check for $100 million. We know that's not happening. And then it has a picture of me. Well, I'll just show you the whole thing. Anyways, I just popped this off of it. This was on my board. Oh, wait, I can't show you my house. I'm going to cover my hand. I don't want you to see my house so you can't find it. But I had my house paid off, had an AI version of me all healthy, saying healthy, healthy, low blood pressure, no diabetes. You are so healthy. And then Adam saying healthy, Selena with no anxiety, because 2.5 years ago, it was me on the Ozempic. Terrible thing. I actually have diabetes. I know Ozempic works for some. It almost killed me. Okay, that's my own story. But I feel like it's bad luck. I need to put him back on the board. The way that we went about having this baby is very different from other people. But the fact we even had a chance is amazing. And truth, we wouldn't have been able to do this without you guys. And I mean that. Watching these YouTube videos, buying stuff that I've put out in the world. I have something cool coming out soon though that I made and I worked hard on. Watching my videos. Honestly, just watching my videos. You don't need to buy anything. Just watching my videos made it so we could afford the lawyers. Make the connections that we have. And I just want to thank you for that, because this baby feels like a collaborative thing from all of us. It feels like a bit of a gift from you guys to us. Like this never happened, but it also feels like everything lined up perfectly. Because I was a weird kid in high school and I didn't really have friends and I was super strange, and I got to meet an army of people that were just like me, and we have gone through this whole thing together. You guys have been with me mostly since 2020. You have watched me in the hardest point of my life to the best. I just want to get a bit healthier. But other than that, I'm really happy. But I'm scared to be happy, because I'm afraid being happy will make it all go away. So there's that. But I love you guys. And thank you.